Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into Chapter 9 of Isaiah.
A really fascinating chapter.
It is, yeah. It's packed with these two very different messages, almost side by side. You've got this powerful hope, this future promise.
And then right next to it, stark descriptions of judgment, consequences happening, well, right then.
Exactly. It creates this real tension. So we're going to try and unpack both sides today.
Sounds good. It forces you to kind of hold both realities at once, this guaranteed vision of rescue, and then this unflinching look at the difficult circumstances, the choices people were actually making.
Absolutely. So let's start with that first message, the hope and light part. That's verses 1 through 7.
Right.
It kicks off with a promise of a dramatic shift, doesn't it? Especially for certain places, Zebulun, Naphtali.
And Galilee of the Gentiles, the text calls it, land by the sea, beyond the Jordan.
Yeah, that geographical bit feels important. It's like moving from gloom and humiliation to honor in these places that maybe felt overlooked.
That seems to be the idea, the light breaking out where maybe it was least expected.
And the imagery is just, wow, people walking in deep darkness suddenly seeing a great light.
Yeah, like dawn breaking over the land of the shadow of death, as it says. It's powerful stuff.
And that light brings joy, right? Real joy. Compared to what, harvest time?
Harvest time or dividing up loads of plunder after a victory, just overwhelming relief and celebration.
Relief because something real has happened. Liberation. The text talks about shattering the yoke, the bar on their shoulders.
The rod of their oppressor, yeah. And it even points back specifically to the day of Midian's defeat.
Ah, right. A past event where God brought this, miraculous victory, a reminder.
Exactly. And that victory theme continues, warriors' boots, bloody garments, all of it fuel for the fire.
And not just thrown away, but actually consumed, like a total end to war.
A complete end.
Yeah. Okay, so then it pivots right here. The prophecy of a child being born, a son given, who will carry the government. And the names, the titles for this figure, they're quite something.
They really are. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. I mean, these aren't just descriptions.
No.
They paint a picture of someone extraordinary. Divine wisdom, immense power, eternal presence, the source of real peace. Not just another king.
A completely different kind of ruler.
Yeah.
And his reign, it's not temporary. The source says, of the increase of his government and peace, there will be no end.
Forever. Ruling on David's throne, establishing it with justice, with righteousness, always.
And the guarantee behind it all?
The zeal of the Lord Almighty. It's presented as absolutely certain, divinely secured.
That future sounds, well, incredible. But then the chapter takes that sharp turn, doesn't it?
It really does. Verses 8 to 21 shift the focus completely. Judgment.
The source says the Lord sends a message against Jacob, against Israel.
Yes, suddenly we're looking at the immediate consequences of how the people are actually behaving, their response to hardship.
And it's not humility, is it? It's arrogance. Ephraim and Samaria saying, oh, the bricks fell down, fine, we'll rebuild with fancy stone.
Sycamores got cut, no problem, we'll plant cedars, that kind of defiance.
Yeah, and because of that attitude, the text says God stirs up enemies against them, Arameans, Philistines.
Devouring Israel. It points to both external threats and maybe even internal strife, spurred by their own actions.
And that phrase repeats, chillingly. Yet for all this, his anger is not turned away, his hand is still upraised.
It's powerful. It emphasizes that the judgment isn't over because the behavior hasn't changed.
Why is his hand still raised? Well, the text says it plainly. They didn't turn back. They didn't seek the Lord who struck them.
Right, and the problem was deep. Leaders misleading people.
And people following them astray. It talks about the head, the prominent ones, and the tail, the prophets teaching lies. Everyone's caught up.
No one's spared, really. The text says the Lord has no pity, not even on the young men, the fatherless, the widows, because everyone is ungodly and wicked. Every mouth speaks vileness. Pretty strong language.
It's severe. And the consequences described match that severity. Wickedness burning like fire, consuming everything.
Turning people into fuel for the fire, essentially. And that awful internal conflict, Manasseh against Ephraim, both against Judah, society just tearing itself apart.
Even consuming their own, it seems to imply in some translations. Just desperation.
Utter desperation. And then, after all that description...
There it is again.
That same line. Yet for all this, his anger is not turned away. His hand is still upraised. It just hammers home the point about their continued refusal.
So bringing it together, how does the chapter handle these two massive extremes? This glorious, guaranteed future king of peace.
Right next to this immediate, grim reality of judgment and stubbornness.
Yeah, what's the connection?
Well, that seems to be the core tension, doesn't it? It implies that while the ultimate hope, the Prince of Peace, is absolutely certain, guaranteed by God, the experience of judgment in the present is a direct result of human choice. Their arrogance, their sin, their refusal to turn towards that light.
So the promise is there, but getting to it isn't automatic for those living in darkness.
Exactly. It highlights that gap between the promise and the present reality, and suggests that the path involves change, response, turning back. It puts divine sovereignty and human responsibility right next to each other.
It really makes you think about that dynamic.
It does.
So something for you, the listener, to consider. What does putting these two things together, the absolute certainty of the Prince of Peace and the immediate reality of severe judgment, suggest about that journey from darkness to light? What does it say about the interplay between God's promise and our response?